Wait, Hold Up What? A podcast from the women behind Eliminate Girl Hate. Stories are the foundation of progress, and for too long, the voices of women and marginalized communities have been ignored or silenced. At Wait, Hold Up What? We're reclaiming space to share the struggles, triumphs, fears, and joy that shapes our lives. Join us as we explore the intersections of identity, equity, and empowerment, offering education, support, and a little inspiration along the way. Whether it's breaking barriers, celebrating wins, or tackling the tough stuff, this is a space for everyone to feel seen, heard, and uplifted. We invite you all to join the conversation and help us explore ways to eliminate girl hate together. Can a bra help change the trajectory of a girl's life? Did you know that nationally, only 20% of girls engage in at least 60 minutes of daily physical activity, a lower rate than boys? Or that girls' participation in sports drops off significantly from the ages of 10 to 17? Wait, hold up, what? Yeah. Some of the barriers that contribute to this include lack of financial means, lack of role models, dropping body confidence, and concerns about body changes, including breast development and the need for a sports bra. The simple intervention of a sports bra, along with the normalization of body development, can change the trajectory of a girl's relationship with body movement for her whole life. You heard that right, her whole life. Every girl deserves to feel comfortable and confident in her own body. And that's why Bras for Girls partners with more than 25 athletic brands and donors just like you to distribute new, high-quality sports bras and breast development booklets to girls in need, ranging from the age of 8 to 18. Let's get girls in well-fitting sports bras right when they need them the most. Girls plus sports equals a beautiful world. You can donate to Bras for Girls today at brasforgirls.org. And as a side note, Eliminate Girl Hate has partnered with brasforgirls.org and will be donating a proceed of all merchandise sales to helping girls get in the bras that they need and keep them in sports. You can help by shopping the Eliminate Girl Hate store today. Did you know that 80% of the world's purchases are influenced and made by women? Or that 90% of product development, manufacturing, and corporate leadership is led by men? I don't know about you, but that seems like some funky, disconnected math. This disconnect means large segments of the population are not getting their needs met because the products being made never even asked us what problems we needed to solve. Instead, companies use a pink it and shrink it philosophy. Not familiar? I bet you are. You know it. Take a man's product, make it smaller, paint it pink, sell it for 25% more. Then, when the products fail to make a dent in the market or to sell rapidly, they say things like, the market wasn't ready. Or, we were so sure it was going to work, I wonder what happened. And then they move on. I'm here to tell you, the market is most definitely ready. But the market is savvy. And putting some paint and saying it was designed for us is a slap in the face. We have real needs, and we're not settling for anything less than real solutions. If this sounds familiar to you and your business, then it's time to connect with Eliminate Girl Hate. We help businesses understand the lucrative consumer segment of women and how to meet their needs in authentic ways. From problem solving, product creation, marketing, and even human resource practices, we help create safe and equitable spaces for the female segment. And these safe spaces increase profit margins, employee retention, and brand loyalty along the way. It's time to start a revolution and meet your consumers where they are. It's time to eliminate girl hate. Check us out, eliminategirlhate.com, and find out how we can help your business today. Welcome to Wait, Hold Up, What? My name is Dawn, your host, and today's episode is in honor or tribute or about, I don't know, however you want to say it, International Women's Day, which is every year, March 8th. And so we're a couple days early, but we wanted to make sure that we talked about it. And full disclosure, especially for those of you that are watching on video, this is now my 5th or 6th attempt at recording this episode. And every single time that I have
exploded into a puddle of tears that was so distracting, it wasn't going to work. If you are a regular listener of the podcast or you just know me being reduced to a puddle of tears may not be all that uncommon, but it was over the top. And so I had to stop and regroup and capture myself. And this like wonderful makeup job I did, because now we're fully on video, went out the wayside. But I'm telling you that I'm going to try to get through it. Here's the deal. I'm emotional because the world is just emotional right now. And I'm sure a lot of you can identify that, or maybe you said, oh, girl, preach. And also because this particular subject matter, God, it just means so much to me, right? And that also is probably not a surprise. My company is called Eliminate Girl Hate. But right now, the frequency at which I say the words, wait, hold up, what? Is just it's just beyond. And at least in my circles, I feel like that is pretty common. And so I'm not apologizing for the emotion, but I do also understand when it becomes a distraction to the message. So I'm going to try to get through this. I took some notes, so you may see my hand in the video go up to scroll because unfortunately I didn't charge my mouse, and that's what we got to do. So International Women's Day, right? Happens every single year. Every single year it has a theme. This particular year, the theme is accelerate action. And they're basing that off of this concept that in order for us to reach gender parity in the world, right now they're estimating that that will take 134 years, which means gender parity would not occur until the year 2158, which is 5 generations from now. Now, the reason that I say that is because sometimes numbers, they're not they're not tangible, right? Like, what does 134 years mean to me? I won't be here. Okay, cool. But 5 generations, that means right now, all of the human beings that are in my life, there is no one alive within 5 generations. So that, to me, really like cemented something. So the idea of accelerate action is, how can we as a community or as a public or organizations or a country, a world, people, how can we speed up the rate of progress? Great, of course. Well, of course, I want that. Clearly, not the whole world wants it, at least not in our current administration. Sorry, not sorry. So I want to back up first, and I want to level set a few things. And some of those are the definitions, because there's a lot of things that are being said by pundits and politicians and media, and yet they don't fully explain it. And so everybody stays in their same viewpoint because they're not actually understanding what these things mean. And we live in a culture, or we have created ourselves a culture that says, if it doesn't impact me, I don't care, because there's too much going on and I can only care about so much, which in a lot of ways is true, right? Like, part of my emotion and part of the reason it's taken me so many recordings to do this is because the world is falling apart and there's so many things falling apart, and I just want to help and I want to do all that I can, and I just get all frazzled and anxious, and can you tell that I have anxiety and all sorts of other things, right? But we've taken that to this point now where we're like, well, if it doesn't impact me, it doesn't matter. And that's bullshit. I'm sorry. I am in a lot of therapy years and years and years and years. And I'm pretty sure that if I said this to my therapist, she would agree with me. And we talk all the time about me setting boundaries and removing myself from things that are not feeding me. But it is bullshit to think that these things won't impact you. Just because you're a man doesn't mean that gender equity or gender parity or gender equality or whatever you want to talk about doesn't impact you directly. It does. Sorry, not sorry. It does. And with every other thing that is going on in the world, and I do not mean to dismiss any of those other things. It's just that my brand, my business, my voice is used in support of women. Okay. So the first thing we're going to level set on is the word gender parity. Okay. Gender parity is basically a balance between the genders. In any given population, it's about equal contribution in all aspects of life. There are a lot of ways that this could be measured. Some of the ways that the World Economic Forum, who is kind of the organization who tracks this and understands it and provides resources for this, they talk about three key areas in which gender parity can be measured. Representation, so the proportion of men and women in a group, right? The numbers. There's also access, so the ease of access to resources and the opportunities as they relate to both men and women or the genders. Now, when I speak about gender, I also completely understand the construct, the idea that gender is a construct, right? And I am in no way limiting anybody else who is non-binary or does not consider themselves any gender or identify either which way, or maybe they identify both, right? But for the purposes of actionable items in International Women's Day, I am going to speak about male and female as a gender. But when I do, I mean opportunities for everyone. I cannot accept an opportunity as a woman if I don't believe that that same opportunity could be deserved of someone who doesn't identify as a woman. And I think that that's important because culturally we've built all of these constructs that are us against them. And it doesn't matter. There is no such thing. This competition that everybody is talking about, it's man-made. It is constructed just like these identities. The last section is contribution. So this idea of equal contribution of men and women, so how they contribute in all aspects of life. Again, all of this is measured by the World Health Foundation, and it tries to evaluate this gap between men and women, or the genders, in four categories: health, education, economic participation, and political involvement. And they're great, right? Of course, these are categories that could help us reach some sort of parity in the world. But sometimes I think if we just look at it in a bullet point list like this, it's so oversimplified, even though it's not, that people don't understand how or what is needed for them to actually make change. What are they supposed to do? They're just trying to get through the day, right? Pay their mortgage, take care of their kids, all of those things. So what does it actually mean from an actionable perspective? And the World Economic Forum, it offers some suggestions, challenging stereotypes around gender, promoting family-friendly workplaces, sharing care responsibilities, empowering women and girls, respecting reproductive rights, and improving work environments. But again, what does that mean? What do I as a human do? Yes, we can vote, we can pay attention, but we also live in a country in which the majority of human beings do not vote. Mind-boggling to me, because we're also out here on social media bitching and complaining about everything that's happening in our world, and then we're not showing up at the polls. The people listening, not seeing, I got a little flustered so much that I couldn't even speak. So let's level set a little bit more. We described what gender parity is. We can describe a few other things, and I'm going to do it in relation to what seemingly is this hot button topic right now, and that is DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, in the work that I do, we add another letter, and that is J for justice. But for the purposes of today, I am not going to add that letter because people seem to be confused by three letters. So I don't want to add anything into the mix that is going to give you any other reason to debate this topic. Okay. So for some reason, DEI elicits so much controversy. I, as a woman, am infuriated by this controversy, and I actually don't even know another word. And one of the reasons for my fury is I just honestly don't understand how any one person, individual, country, religion, faith, ethnicity, gender can possibly think that giving someone a fair shot is controversial. Like, I sort of feel like I'm having some sort of midlife existential crisis when I see this. And in one of the crying spills, not spits, but I probably did spit. One of the crying spills in trying to record this was this idea of, if we are to level set, then we can have this understanding that as a human race, there are certain things that everybody wants, and they're not controversial. We all want to be safe. Okay? I don't care who you are, where your background is. Every human being wants safety for themselves and their loved ones. This could be physical safety, this can be emotional safety, and this can be financial safety, along with a gazillion other ways in which safety manifests itself. That is what we all want. And I believe this so firmly. There is a subsection of people, and right now it seems like it's the majority, but I have to believe it is not. They are just the loudest and maybe the richest. Again, sorry, not sorry. But there is this subsection of people that have convinced us all that in order for us to have that safety and security, we have to take it away from somebody else. And historically, for thousands and thousands of years, this is what we see in storytelling. And this is, again, infuriating. So there's a couple of reasons. We talk about storytelling. I firmly believe that storytelling is what changes the world. We've seen it time and time again, that when we actually stop, take a second, and look at the life and story of someone else, we are able to empathize in a way that says, I don't want harm to befall you. Yes, change should happen. And then every time we start to make these changes that say everyone deserves a shot and safety and security, the people who already had it freak the fuck out. And it's like, calm down. Just because I'm safe doesn't mean that you are not. And we know this. Think about it in its most simplistic terms, right? 100 years ago, could you, well, we weren't there, most of us. If you are over 100 and listening, please call me. 100 years ago, it wasn't fathomable that someone could be a billionaire. There wasn't enough money. We have this scarcity model that we believe in. It's sort of bullshit, because look at us now. We're about to have or maybe we already do. I'm mixing up my headlines. Trillionaires is about to become a reality. And why does any one individual need $1 billion? They do not. And by the way, I'm bougie. I like nice things. I would like to have money. I do not need $1 billion. Okay? We know that money corrupts. We know that absolute power corrupts. And yet we keep glorifying wealth, and we keep glorifying these things because we believe that that is what gives us security. Okay. I know that was a little ranty and I got really off case, but I just need that to be out there. Okay. So let's assume that this all isn't an issue. The other thing that infuriates me about this controversy is that most people who are against DEI or who are against these types of programs don't even really know what DEI means. Okay? Most companies, I need to stop using the word most, and I am going to. So I'm going to correct myself and back up. There are companies who have attempted a DEI program or a DEI philosophy or a culture change, right? And they say that they instituted a DEI program. And yet all they did was the D, which sounded a little weird. Okay, so let's talk about this. First of all, DEI, again, stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And when I say that, companies focus on one letter, the D, or the diversity, it's because it's the fastest way that they can show whether or not they have done an action and that action has had a result, right? So when you think about diversity, it's like, okay, I used to have 100 white men that worked for my company, and now we have 75 white men, and I've got 20 white women, and then I've got 5 Black, Asian, Indigenous, Native. Maybe I've even got one LGBTQ person. Whoop, box check, box check, box check, box check. And they think that that is all that they have to do. And it is just not true. The other two letters are actually way more important because the other two letters are the parts that help ensure this idea of security and safety. It is the equity and the inclusion. So some people will look at that and say, that's so fluffy. Like, what does it actually mean? And why do I care? And all of these types of things. So I guess I'm supposed to tell you what all of these things mean, which I hate that I have to do because why do we not know? Okay, diversity, the practice. I'm reading this because it came from the dictionary so that there's no, oh, well, with that source, that's not what it means. This is the dictionary definition of these words. Diversity, the practice or quality of including or involving people from a range of different social and ethnic backgrounds and of different genders, sexual orientations, etc. Notice that that definition did not lead with the word race. That definition did not lead with sexual orientation. And yet, what everybody's freaking out about is that. Chill out. Okay. Next, equity, the quality of being fair and impartial. Boom, it. That's the whole definition. Are we going to argue when our entire judicial system, for those of you listening, I put it in quotes, when our entire constitution, in quotes, is about being fair and impartial? Okay, inclusion, the action or state of including or of being included within a group or structure. Now, on this one, there was a second definition. The second definition says the practice or policy of providing equal access to opportunities and resources for people who might otherwise be excluded or marginalized, such as those who have physical or intellectual disabilities and members of other minority groups. Again, notice it didn't leave with race and sexuality. And yet, that's what we hear in the news. That's what we hear bitching about. Now, I also want to backtrack and say, I think it's freaking insane that that's what we're bitching about. But the reason I read these definitions to you and the reason that I'm talking about it is because that is such a narrow version that you're complaining about. And it's not even what these things are defined and created to do. Yes. Do they help people of different races? Do they support people of different sexual orientations or identities? Yes. But the idea is that everybody gets an equal footing. By the way, lean in closer. That means white guys too. In fact, the single group of people who have benefited the most from DEI programs is white women. White women. So, okay, all you, see, I'm getting flustered again. You racist people that think that this is in some way hurting you and your master race, and it's not. It's lifting your women up who have been supporting you for hundreds and hundreds of years. Okay, sorry, calming down again. Okay, this is not the episode that I wanted to do. I seriously wanted to come off. This is a really professional person that people might hire to come and speak and talk about this, but I'm so angry. And I've never actually known how to express anger, and I'm working on it. And apparently, this is how it's coming out. Okay, so I was reading this article in some of my research, and there was a woman by the name of Jessica Fulton. She's the vice president of policy at the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies, a nonprofit that aims to improve African Americans' socioeconomic status. And her quote was this: "These policies do not actually dictate who gets hired. They are ways to open the doors to people who might have not been able to have access or aren't as well connected in an industry or occupation." Now, she goes on further, and I'll hit that in a second. But I want to hit this because most of the corporate settings that we're in or the industries that we are in are so completely incestuous. I saw a comedian talk about this the other day, Roy Woods Jr., where he was talking about a fast food worker who gets fired. And he's like, look, Wendy's does not care why you got fired from McDonald's, right? There is another job out there for you. And that is actually true for so many industries. I've done a lot of hiring over the years, and you get these people that just bounce around the 5 to 10 companies that are in industry, and they just keep going. And we wonder why we keep capping where we go. It's because we keep just taking the same minds and shifting them around instead of adding other things into the mix to expand on those ideas. Even me, as a professional, I had this conversation with somebody the other day and they hated the way that I explained it. You might as well. But I was talking about how I am not a solo person. I do not like to work in a vacuum or by myself. When I am successful or at my best is when I am surrounded by other people. And so I use the example of an ice cream sundae. I love ice cream sundaes. Okay. The base of that is the vanilla ice cream and the chocolate syrup or hot fudge or whatever you want to call it, right? That's really the heart of an ice cream sundae. And for some, that is enough. I am not the vanilla ice cream, despite my appearances. And I am not the hot fudge. I am the rainbow sprinkles, the whipped cream nuts, and a cherry. I am the little extra sauce that you put on top to give it some pizzazz. That is the work that I do. That is how I contribute to things. And it's because of this ideation and this inspiration that I get from other people around. I am not knocking myself for that. I actually love whipped cream nuts and a cherry and some sprinkles, but some people don't. And that's okay. But we need all of those things to provide enough options for the myriad of people out there who are wanting to consume the products that we have. And that is the same within DEI. If we do not have all of these ideas in the room, then we are not servicing our customers. Because I'll tell you, these same people that are out here spouting hate are making money off the people that they say that they hate and that they are openly doing things against. If you lose those people, you lose your billionaire status, okay? Which is why I'm so adamant about voting with your wallet. It is not always easy, but we continue to make these people who shout out and lead out hate richer and richer and richer, which gives them more power and more power and more power. And then we sit and go, how did they do that? Meanwhile, we've got 752 boxes on our front step. Okay. So in this quote or this article that I was reading, they were also talking about, and I'm going to read the quote because I don't want to miscredit somebody. The point of diversity and inclusion is that companies, government, universities all do better when there are diverse participants in management and throughout the enterprise. This particular quote was attributed to Michael Posner, who is the director of the NYU Stern Center for Business and Human Rights. So, okay, if we look at this, we know that, right? There is 101 stats. I put them all on here because I wanted to sound super, super smart, and we'll put them in the blog. We'll do it that way for you. Every single statistic that is out there proves that diverse workforces are what create financial results. When we start from the bottom all the way up to the C-suite level, that is when we do it. Whether it is women, people of color, people of different religious backgrounds, you name it, it has been proven to show results in companies. So if for nothing else, if you care about nothing else, you don't care about people, you don't care about empathy and ethics and compassion and doing what's right in the world, if all you care about is making money, you should be promoting DEI practices within your organizations and within your life because you will make more money. Okay, but let's pretend you're not an asshole and you care about people. A lot of people take these DEI programs and definitions, and they get all outraged by it because they think that they're losing out. It doesn't represent them. And the truth of the matter, it really does. If we look at the programs that have been impacted or created with DEI in mind or through DEI programs. There are so many things out there. Accessibility for disabled people. This could be ramps. This could be different styles of desks or accessibility options within their work environment. This could be accessibility options for the places that we shop at, the places we frequent, restaurants, etc. Even ergonomics as part of a DEI program. Work with veterans and programs to help veterans when they come back. DEI programs. Mother's room. I don't actually know what they call these, but the rooms in the office that allow new moms to go in and pump or do what they need to do. DEI programs. Paid leave, not just for women, not maternity leave, paternity leave. Paid leave is a DEI program. Need more? Okay, I will give you some more. And sorry, there were so many I was memorizing and I thought I would put them up there and I forgot to. But programs around mental health, DEI programs, resources for employees who are struggling in one way or another, all DEI programs. The point of the matter is DEI programs are not about anything other than giving people the opportunity to be safe and equitable in the places that we do the things that we do to survive. And yes, there are marginalized communities who may or may not, at least in the immediate perspective, get more out of those programs because they've been disenfranchised for so long. But it doesn't give them a leg up. You don't get a job if you're not qualified for a job. But it does give you access to things that you don't have. I didn't grow up wealthy. I didn't have country club connections and things like that. And so DEI helps me get in a door that I might not have gotten into. But by the way, that doesn't mean the door closes for you who did have country club access. At the end of the day, I cannot convince anybody to care about people. But DEI means a lot for women. It means a lot for women for all of the ways that I just listed. But I want to make it more personal than that. When we think about the life span or the historical context of women in our culture, in our world, our political system, you name it, women have carried the burden of the world for generations. We have lifted up and celebrated and empowered the men in our lives. We are the ones who have been traumatized the most. We are the ones who have faced the most violence. We are the ones who have taken that and made something of it and raised new generations of people who have more empathy, who have more compassion, and who do the things that make this world a better place. And yet we are still struggling to find our place. I hear a lot, why does your company eliminate girl hate? Or when I ran ads for the merchandise that we sell, rather than getting people buying it, instead I got hate mail. There's no such thing as girl hate. Shut up, you stupid bitch. And you'd be amazed. People talked about my looks and my weight. And by the way, I wasn't even in these pictures trying to sell a stupid sweatshirt. That alone proves the point that there is girl hate, right? But also, we are seeing grown-ups talk about women in high-powered places, political and otherwise, in ways that is so dismissive and hateful and discouraging. And we're watching it on our television and we're allowing it to happen. And then when people want to challenge it, they say, would you talk to your mother or your daughter or your sister that way? And sure, great question. But why do you only care about someone if you know them? We live in a world with so much darkness. And so much of that darkness was created by us. The most dangerous species in the world is the human being. And the most dangerous human being is the white man. And if you are a white man and you're listening and you're offended by that or you're upset by that, do something to prove that that's not right. I am done as a human being coddling a population of people who are not willing to look into the mirror. If you do not want to be described that way, then don't act that way. As a white woman, I have a lot of privilege. And that privilege has made me question whether or not I should be the voice that does this work, or whether or not I should step aside for somebody else. But here's the thing. We need all of us. It is incumbent that we stand up for humanity. It is incumbent that we stand up for something better than what's happening. Excuse me. I'm going to say this clearly, that we stand up for something better than what is happening right now in this world, and most specifically in this country. There are millions of people who are in pain right now, who are suffering, who are being traumatized, who are being victimized. And it is not without hard work, and it is not without pushback. But we need help. We need more than us. We need people to believe that there can be something better. And that means we need you. So if you want to know how you can do something actionable to accelerate, sorry, I forgot the theme at this point. If you want to know how to help accelerate action, not just for women, but for humanity, stand up to these things. Speak up, speak out, do not speak for. I do not want to watch another video on Instagram that tells me what I need to do to get a man, and the man is the one telling me to do it. No. Why don't you figure out how to get me? Why don't you figure out why I'm going to help grow your business? Because I will. And so will all of these other people that you are pushing to the wayside and demeaning in their value. And I realize this episode turned into something I probably was not intending. I wanted it to be educational and informative. And instead, I'm probably doing what all of these people are doing that I'm complaining about. And I'm sitting on a soapbox and I'm yelling. I'm not really yelling, but crying is probably equivalent to yelling to some people. Yelling triggers me. Crying might trigger you. And for that, I do apologize, because I'm not intentionally trying to trigger anybody. But what I am trying to do is take ownership of what I can do to make this world a better place, not just for myself, but for the other people around me. And I don't have to know you to want good for you. And you shouldn't have to know me to want good for me. You know, a fire and a hurricane and a national disaster comes out, and suddenly we donate money and we feel so bad for these people. But where were you before that happened? Because natural disasters are not the only trauma that happens in our lives. How are you protecting women? How are you standing up for women? How are you supporting women? And how are you listening to them? If you want to take action, real action, register to fucking vote and vote. Don't just vote by checking the box. Do your research. Learn what these bills are about. Get involved locally. Get involved in your community, because we're going to start small. Now, since emotion took the better of me, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to record this the sixth time, or that I can never do it without all of this coming out, our resource page for this episode, or blog page, if you will have the episode. It'll have the video. You can listen to it. You can see some of the transcript or blog, but we will also provide resources for how you can get involved, how you can help accelerate change, and how you can help use your gifts and abilities to make the world a better place, or as I like to say, to help eliminate girl hate. So let's accelerate action together. Let's eliminate girl hate, and let's support the people that are putting good things into the world for all of us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the grace that I hope you're extending if you stayed this long into the episode. And we hope you will continue to listen to maybe less emotional episodes in the future on Wait, Hold Up, What?
Wait, Hold Up, What is brought to you by the women at Eliminate Girl Hate. We are edited and mixed by the good people at Epiphany Recording Studio. Make sure to subscribe to get notified of new episodes and support our program. To learn more about the work we are doing, get resources to help you and/or your business, please visit us at eliminategirlhate.com. And, of course, don't forget to follow us on social media. You can find us at Instagram at wait.holdup.what and eliminate_girl_hate. As always, your support means everything to us, and it is the way that we can continue to make positive and uplifting program that supports women and girls around the world. Thank you. Have you ever dreamed of writing a book? I know I have. Or maybe, also like me, you've started a manuscript. Maybe you've started 10 and you've just never finished it, or never let anybody else read it, or never thought you could publish it. Wherever you are in the process, Jim Woods would like to help. Jim's a writer just like you, but he's also a coach who loves helping writers bring their books into the world and make them a reality. If you are like me, sometimes you need that push, a supportive but demanding cohort along the way to put your stories out into the world and keep you on track. Jim Woods is that cohort. Visit jimwoodswrites.com and click the Let's Chat button. Mention our podcast for a free clarity call and get your story out into the world because we need it. We are sponsored by Epiphany Recording Studio. Creativity needs to flow freely if you want to reach that aha moment that we're all looking for. At Epiphany Recording Studio, their goal is to create space that takes full advantage of those moments. From podcast and video production to music creation, you get the support you need to create compelling stories with a competitive sound. Your ideas can flow freely because they partner with you free of judgment, ready to be vulnerable, do the work, and make your projects look and sound their best. So let Epiphany Recording Studio help you reach your artistic vision by visiting them today at epiphanyrecordingstudio.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.